I'm Tony Kirrage from Tony's Tackle. I've been selling fishing tackle in my shop for over 40 years. I want to show you today a few rigs. I've still not lost my enthusiasm for angling. I love it, but basically I'm going to show you a couple of rigs today. I've shown a couple already to you, but this one is probably the #1 simplest, cheapest rig to buy and easiest to use. As soon as I get a rig out, I tend to find something, put the hook in my hand and just give it 3 or 4 nice tweaks, run my fingers down it twice, and that'll come out, as you can see, nice and neat and tidy. Same with the second one, 2 or 3 times down there. This is amnesia, it's got no memory, it's fantastic stuff, so it's very easy to use. You'll find your main body's tangled a bit, but that'll find its own course, the main body. It's already coming out now, so that's not a problem. You've got, here's one of the leads that some of the lads use now. This is a Gemini lead. The reason this is good for is if you're overhead casting, because when you've got an impact lead, which we showed you before, what happens with the impact lead is you drop it on the ground and you, invariably if you're clipping down, it will just pop off, and it's a pain sometimes, so you have to do kind of like a swing cast. With this Gemini lead, it's much easier because you push this top piece down, and the same thing, but you can, if I clip it in and show you, okay, I've clipped the lead in on this Gemini lead on this 2-hook rig, which is the most popular rig in the world. What happens is, with this, you don't have to pendulum cast. You can actually put the lead on the ground and it won't come out. Whereas with the impact leads, you tend to have to swing the lead, and when you touch the ground, quite often it comes off and it falls out, and it's a bit of a problem sometimes. For me, it's not, because I pendulum cast most of the time, nearly all the time. But what happens is the pressure of the water again, once again, pushes up on here, on which will release the hook, as you see there, and the good thing is you can overhead cast with it and use these off the ground, which is nice. Getting back to the rig, it's so simple. It's just 2 hooks clipped. Once again, you've got the jolly old cascade, which the top hook clips into. Once again, no holes, straight in the cascade. Second hook in the weight, and that will pop out just as we've seen. Absolutely perfect. And it's all nice and streamlined for long distance. Quite a short rig for casting. You could use this on a pier if you want to cast out a long way. You can use it for anything, and mainly 2 hooks is good, because most anglers who are, you know, starting in that, they don't want to be dealing with 3 hooks. It's all hard work. You know, 2 hooks is perfect for the average angler. You can put these are quite big hooks on here. I mean, it depends where you're fishing, you know, and I mean, they're ones which are quite big, but of course you get a nice bit of squid or fish bait on there, or decent ragworm. On this one, lugworm, perhaps vary it a bit. You've got 20-pound amnesia snoods, which is nice and neat. Once again, no memory. You've got your stops, which we talked about before. You've got 60-pound body, which is nice and neat and tidy. And you'll find that this is the ultimate rig, really. It's just simple. You know, most guys are going pleasure fishing, they can't handle 3 hooks, it's too much for them. 2 hooks is fine. The hooks are B940 Camasands, and they're size 1s there. I'd still definitely get my pliers, and I would just tweak them a bit and put a little offset in them, and maybe just push them in a little bit. It gives you a slightly smaller hook, but it's still got the strength. If you catch a really big fish, it's going to hold it, you know. So I tend to do that with all my hooks, because I find that it makes a smaller hook with the strength of a bigger hook, if you know what I mean. And that's quite neat and tidy. Everything's sweet. It'll cast a long way. It all clips down, as you've seen. And if you don't want to be bothered clipping it down, if it's a flat day, don't bother. Just cast it out flapping. When I fish matches, and all the time I'm using 3 hooks, because we think 3 chances, and the more chances the better. But if as a pleasure angler, 2 hooks is fine. You can vary the baits, you can try different stuff on them, and basically remember, when you're out there, you're baiting your other rig, so therefore you can alternate and have a 3 hook rig for if you want to come close, you can take this 2 hook off, clip with your Gemini clip, you can clip on your 3 hook rig, and you can just pop it out a bit closer. When you get flat, some people believe in a bait chain, like I said earlier on. You get your bait compact together, and it kind of works because you've got 3 lots of bait instead of 1, and you might get a fish, you might nick 1 bit of bait, and he'll come on to the next bit, and he'll take the 2nd hook, and he'll get hooked. And invariably, I was saying today with Graeme, you get a big bite on your line with flatfish and that, but most of the time I believe they're on there, and it's them swimming away to a certain extent. So, you know, don't always strike like mad. If you get a slack line bite and your lead just pops out completely and your line goes slack, you've got to pick that rod up and hit it as fast as you can, because that's either a fish over a pound or a bass or a codling. So that's one of the big things, that make sure you hit your slack line bites, because if that's broken that lead out, that can just go and you will lose a fish if you leave it. One final tip, guys: when you're fishing, don't forget, use a very good shock leader. It's most important. It could be dangerous if you don't. You've got your 60-pound grease weasel, which is one of your most popular. It's very supple. Lots of people like the grey because it seems to be more supple than some of the others. But basically, you know, if you're not using a shock leader, it could be dangerous for people. If you're using a fixed spool, you tend to use tapered shock leader, and also it's very good tapered shock leader if you've got a multiplier with a level wind on. Most of the top anglers don't use a level wind, but if you've got one with a level wind, you don't want a great big knot going through and causing mayhem. So basically, it might be better, try yourself a tapered shock leader. When I put these on, I tend to play about with them a bit. They're always a bit long, so I tend to cut a little bit off each end and make them a bit shorter. But the most important thing, get that shock leader on there, because it could be dangerous, and basically it gives you that little bit more strength when if you're hooked in the bottom and you can't get it out. This shock leader will always sort of be a bit better for getting it in, as long as you tie your knot well, which is important, and go from there. Really strong hook, camisand. You've got a nice swivel at the top, which is quite not going to break or anything like that. You clip that into a link clip when you're going to cast. Use roughly around, same thing, 60-pound main body.